meeting to order at 5 after 7. Please stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to apologize for running a few minutes late. We'll try to get the meeting going a little bit quicker. I need a motion to adopt the agenda, please.
So moved.
Melissa?
Second.
Michelle? All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any opposed? Thank you. Approval of the minutes from our board meeting on May 9th. Have a motion?
So moved. Second.
Michelle? Melissa? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Moving on. We're going right into our presentations.
All right. So I will start with the presentations. The first one is a food service program, and we were fortunate a couple of years ago to hire a fabulous food service director named Holly LaBarbera, and she actually works with multiple districts. We worked in a regional way. This is one of our shared service agreements where she works with Region 6, Region 1, Litchfield, and ourselves. And we wanted to bring her out tonight to talk to you guys about how the food service program is going. And so she's got a short presentation for you. So here's, I'll turn it over to Holly.
Hello. All right, you're going to have to work with me here a little bit. I just want to go through a couple slides with you. I think Ron's handing out the actual paper one. So it's very important to serve healthy, nutritious meals for the students so that they can take the opportunity to learn and their brains are working well and all is going good. This is just the overall this year. We have 15 full-time employees. We also have 2 subs that we share with the other districts that will work in Plymouth. Through June 11th, we've served over 114,000 lunches, not breakfasts. We are running the menus on a 4-week cycle in the elementary schools. This helps us with inventory and helps us share between the schools. The high school is on a 6-week rotation because they obviously serve more food. The district receives an extra 10% reimbursement for healthy foods. This is every meal that we sell. We get an extra 10 cents from the Healthy Food Certification Program that we're part of. We also are continuing using the NutriSlice software for nutritional values on our lunch menus. As they said earlier, I am a regional food service director. I work for different districts. I come here on Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's Plymouth's days where I visit all of the schools and then do work in the office. My first thing is to make sure that all the students are happy. Second is to make sure the staff is happy. And then I review everything that they're doing, making sure they're purchasing correctly, make sure their products are right, their procedures are correct. We share best practice. I have 14 schools, so in those schools, there's lots of ideas that we can share. It's wonderful. We talk about waste prevention, make sure that with the regulations that we do not waste any food. We try to do the best and make things that the students will want to take. And I check their inventory as I'm there. In the first year of food service, we showed a profit and will again this year. What's driving the improvement is we share resources between the 4 districts. We utilize the EastCon Buying Cooperative bid. This is a bid for procurement. Better controls over amount of food ordering. That's the 4-week cycle I talked about earlier. More attention being paid to students' accounts, making sure that we're collecting and trying to get all of that negative balance money. And no longer paying overhead. In the upcoming year, we're looking to implement the CEP program, which is the Community Eligibility Program at both elementary schools. This will allow every student to eat for free. If CEP is not approved, we will have to look at raising the prices at the elementary school. The state says that we have to be at a minimum of $2.80 for lunches at the elementary school. The meal counts have increased slightly this year in spite of the decline in enrollment. More students now qualify for free and reduced meals due to the change in the guidelines. And Plymouth will continue to share the food service agreement with Litchfield Region 6, Region 1 for my services. Are there any questions?
I have one.
Okay.
I read recently in the Hartford Current, I do believe it's Hartford Current, that I guess New London has hired a chef to take over their food service program.
Yes.
And from what I understand, he's a very well-renowned
He's awesome, actually.
chef.
Yes.
And what he's doing is he's bringing a few of his colleagues over with him to enhance the food service program.
Right.
And it looked like it was going really well.
We were
because-
very fortunate to have Tony. I know the students know Tony. He was a chef, and we were very fortunate to have him last year. Unfortunately, he did take another job. We always look for, in our managers, to be a chef, because that way we can bring more things to the table for the children.
Yeah, because in reading the article, he was utilizing like local resources for produce, going to farms, and it
Yep.
seemed like actually the kids were really enjoying coming
Right.
to school and eating lunch.
It's a
'Cause
great program.
And he was actually staying within the health guidelines,
Right.
by the federal government. And I know they did, in the article, it did say that their lunch, the individuals taking lunch and or breakfast went up extremely.
Right, right. We are using locally grown products. We are part of the DOD program where we have fresh fruits and vegetables. That is a requirement in the meal, so we do use local farms for that. And like I said, anytime we look to hire a manager, we definitely look for a chef as well, because it does bring so much more to the cafeteria.
Thanks.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
One more important thing to note is just a couple of years ago, when we were using a different vendor, we were actually operating at a loss. And so the fact that we were able to turn this around, and now instead of paying additional funds, actually being able to bring the funds in and keep our program going and upgrade all the equipment pieces that need to be taken care of, I think it's been a really solid win for the board in terms of making this move and using a regional person to do that. So thank you, Holly, for all your hard work in that arena.
I do think that's important to say, too, about how, we're making a profit now, but it's not a profit in a way you would think of as a corporation. We use that money to you do maintenance in the kitchen and things like that, whereas we would have to pay for that from a different department before.
That's right.
So it's not like we're profiting off of children's lunches.
Correct.
That's not, I
And
don't want it to sound that way.
And it's actually, and Mr. Melnick can answer this, or Ms. LaBarbera, but we cannot use the money outside of the food
Right.
program. So we cannot take the funds
And use
and
it for
say buy
anything else.
textbooks. It has to be used for the food service program. So yes, the money stays in-house for the food service program. I have that right.
You do. When we take, because we get reimbursed for the free and reduced meals that we do serve, there's a lot of guidelines you have to adhere to, and what Dr. Semmel said is absolutely true. So,
Okay.
good points.
You want me to start? Okay. Oh, looks like you have another.
Oh, I'm sorry, Jerry.
I just forgot one thing.
Okay.
Holly, you're doing a tremendous job. Thank you very much.
All right, so the next piece, every year we have a couple of high school seniors who represent the students on our board, and we have them again this year. So with, Amy and Brianna, who are graduating in, one short week? A week from today, you guys will be graduating, and which is awesome. But we also wanted to just recognize you for all of your hard work. People don't always recognize that you're here every month. You guys do a tremendous amount of homework so that you can represent your students. And you guys come up here, and I've seen so much growth from you guys, and I mean that in a very positive way. It's not easy to stand in front or sit in front of all these people and speak publicly, and I've seen tremendous growth, and you guys do a great job. You've got great poise. So I see great things for both of you in your future, And I wish you guys nothing but luck. We do get to keep Diana, who will be, she's only a junior this year, hard to believe, but she's only a junior this year, and so she'll be one of our seniors next year. So I have a little card for each of you, and Ms. Johnson has a couple things to say as well.
Well, he kind of took most of my thunder.
Well, you let me go first.
I know. See, that's what happens. The thing I want to say is you guys have impressed me so much. I've been on the board, this is my 5th year, and I don't think I've ever seen students who were so actively in our conversations, and that pleases me because that was a goal I had, and I'm thankful that you were so involved in what was happening. I know at first you guys were like a little hesitant. I'm like, nope, say what you need to say. Thank you so much. I'm going to miss the both of you so much. And Amy, thank you for always doing the flag. So guess whose job that is next year? But I have a little thank you actually for all 3 of you. So.
Oh, thank you.
She's showing me up.
Yep. Yep.
Thank you.
So I'd like a round of applause for our students.
Yes.
It is not easy as an adult to talk, and these women, these young ladies have done a tremendous job. So thank you again.
Absolutely.
All right, our next one. Ooh, that's us.
Yep.
Okay, the 3 of us need to go up. Oh,
So the next thing we wanted to do is we like to highlight our retirees from the year and really just kind of highlight them and thank them for all their hard work. And this year we had a few, the retirees this year were kind of strange because they are not strange. Well, Phyllis might be. I totally don't mean. But a lot of them retired at different times of the year, so we didn't get all of them to come back tonight. But I do want to say to all the retirees who had worked for, some of them for 30, 40 years in this district, that we appreciate everything that they did for us. So the one retiree that we will actually highlight this year is Miss Phyllis Warhunski. And Phyllis has been in this district for so many years doing different jobs, and you know, we talked about her last month as well, and I can't put into words how much we're going to miss Phyllis as we go into next year, but I also know that she's going to be enjoying being a grandma and doing all the stuff that goes along with retirement. So Phyllis has been a fabulous member of our district, and like I said, not only am I going to miss her, but her families, the kids, the community itself. She's been so generous with the community and all the parents and children that she works with. And I know, Melissa, you want to say a few words as well.
I promise I won't be as long as last time, but I just want to publicly again state that truly has been an honor to know Phyllis Warhunski. I've known her for over 20 years. And she helped me through a very hard time in my life when 2 of my children got diagnosed with autism. And that was very new in this district, by the way. It wasn't as prevalent as it was. So she was there in the special ed department, and she walked me through the process along with my family. So thank you so much. She's had all 3 of my children in some way, and it's been 20 years. So thank you again so much, and we are going to miss you.
And then we'll get pictures later with the retirees.
Now you got to go.
Well, I had promised Phyllis that she didn't have to speak tonight, but Phyllis, if you wanted to say a few words. Last year we had about 7 or 8 retirees, so they were all lined up here for like 10 minutes. So this year, Phyllis, you only had to come up just for the 30 seconds. But you will be missed. I hope that you continue to show your face around here after you leave us. The next piece of our presentation tonight is our Teacher of the Year presentation. And we have a remarkable person who we're recognizing this year. And I wanted to kick it over to Ms. Parsons because she's the person who runs our whole Teacher of the Year program. And so get a little information from her about how the process works and then continue from there.
Sure.
So Ms. Parsons.
Every year right around Teacher Appreciation Day, which is the first week in May, we solicit nominations for our Teacher of the Year program. This year we received 4 nominations and 3 of the applicants decided to apply. And all 3 applicants came in for interviews where they had written essays and they really brought them to life and showed us some of their personality in addition to their written work. Our committee was made up of 10 past Teachers of the Year, and so they know what it takes and what we're looking for in a candidate. So at that point, we interviewed on a Wednesday, and on Friday we were able to go into a social studies team meeting and award the Teacher of the Year. So I'll let Mr. Holtz come on up and tell you a little bit more about our Plymouth 2019 Teacher of the Year, Mr. Kevin Schuman.
Good evening. Thank you. I'm usually not too long-winded, but I did want to take a little time because I am a little braggadocious about Mr. Schuman here. And I did write my own piece instead of taking Mr. DeStaggio, so you don't have to worry too much. So a little backstory, though. 3 years ago, I spent a summer day with the members of the social studies team preparing for a long day full of interviews. And so our first interview was with this kid named Kevin, who was recommended to us by a cooperating teacher from Naugatuck High School. And I'll never forget that as Kevin was concluding his interview and heading out for the doors, the entire team sighed with joy that we had at least one strong candidate. And so anyone that's been through that interview process on the other side of the table, you know exactly what I mean when you're preparing for a long day. Early in that first year, I knew that we had something great in the new kid. I quickly came to the realization that he was one of the best first-year teachers I had ever seen, including myself, although that bar wasn't very high. By the end of the year, I was trying to convince myself that there was no way that this rookie could be considered one of the best teachers I'd ever worked with. I continued to tell myself he was only been doing this for 1 year and it had to be beginner's luck. Now nearing the conclusion of his 3rd year teaching, I am confident in my reflection and can sincerely say that of all the teachers I've been blessed to work with and learn from, Kevin truly is one of the best. Kevin is an expert in his content area and is contagiously passionate for the subjects of civics, government, and history. His lessons are creative, focusing on students collaborating to push each other's views about the world, their ability to make sound arguments, and their capacity to communicate through presentation and writing. Kevin's charismatic personality and sincere compassion for students creates a rapport with every student that walks into that room. Most importantly, every student that comes into that classroom is on the edge of their seat, eager and enthusiastic about what they're learning. Now, knowing Kevin, he will probably comment about all the support and guidance he has received from the THS team. The truth is that he has given far more than he has taken. Kevin has been a valuable member of the school improvement team, has facilitated a variety of professional development activities, is a leader within his department that has many years of combined experience, a bunch of old guys, and has been instrumental in the success of our running programs. Kevin possesses a wonderful balance of humility, humor, and kindness. He is an old soul that is filled with the energy only the youth should possess. I don't think you could find a single member of the entire THS community that would have anything negative to say about Mr. Schuman, except for maybe his best friend, Mr. DeStaggio. The sincerest conclusion that I can offer is with 2 short statements. 1, Kevin inspires and drives me to be a better leader for Terryville High School. And 2, Kevin is a teacher that I would definitely want for my daughter Olivia and my son Spencer to have. So, if you'd like me to present, or if you'd like to actually announce, it is my very humble honor to introduce the Plymouth Public Schools Teacher of the Year for 2018, Mr. Kevin Schuman.
Yeah, don't drop it.
Thank you all for having me. Good evening. To the members of the Board of Ed, Dr. Semmel, Mrs. Parsons, Mr. Holtz, colleagues, parents, and students, I'd like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak for a few minutes in accepting the Plymouth Schools 2019 Teacher of the Year. I'd like to thank the Plymouth Board of Education for bestowing this humbling award on me this year. I would also like to especially thank Kate Avcali, an English teacher here, who nominated me for it. It is truly an honor that I accept with a great deal of humility. After I was notified that I was this year's recipient of the Teacher of the Year, I began to think nervously of what I would say to the Board of Ed tonight. And after some reflection and thought, the only word that kept coming back to mind was community. This honor is not the work of one teacher in one school. I am of the belief that it takes a village to help a young teacher develop. Therefore, this award is more of a testament to the professional community with whom I've been involved with over the past few years. I'd like to take this opportunity to recognize some members of that community as this honor is an expression of the time, patience, and guidance they have given me over the last few years. My gratitude extends to my student teaching experience at Naugatuck High School, as well as the staff at Terryville High School, who gave me the opportunity to teach after the completion of my formal education. It extends to my department administration, the members of which have challenged me, encouraged me, and have been there for me every single day since I accepted the position 3 years ago. It extends to the parents of my students who entrust me to educate their children in the classroom, on field trips in foreign countries, and on the track. But most importantly, my gratitude extends to my students. I cannot be here without you. You challenge me and motivate me to improve every day that I am here with you. On a more personal level, I would be remiss if I did not recognize my father, who continually exhibits remarkable characteristics that are often found in teachers: an incredible work ethic, compassion, encouragement, and an immeasurable amount of patience. And lastly, to my sister, who I view as being the first student I ever had. Whether it was helping you, albeit probably unsuccessfully, in math when we were younger, or understanding the intricacies of a baseball game, you too have played an integral part in making me who I am today as a teacher. So once again, thank you to all who have made this honor possible for me. I am humbled beyond words, and I'm excited to represent Plymouth in the process for the State Teacher of the Year. So, thank you.
And just as a reminder, I know we're going to be going to recess soon, and when we do go to recess, people should mingle and talk to the Teacher of the Year and our retiree and anybody else over cake. But Mr. Schumann also has to now enjoy the summer as he thinks about his speech to the entire staff of the Plymouth Public Schools when we come back on August 29th, I think it is. So. I think it's the first day. 27. 27. So you did a great job tonight, and we're looking forward to the 27th. But congratulations again.
So we're actually going to call you back up so we can have pictures. So I'm going to actually go into recess, and then I'll have the board clock will do pictures at the time. So can I have a motion to go into recess at 7:30?
So moved.
Melissa?
Second.
Cindy, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we're in recess.
Come back into regular session at 7:37.
So moved.
Oh, 42 actually, I'm sorry, 7:42.
Hold on, you gotta wait for the boss to turn the tape back on.
That's right, Pat wasn't here
You
yet.
know?
Nobody missed me, see?
I did.
Sorry, Miss Pat.
Pat, I was waiting, I was trying to, but everybody kept on telling me to come to the table.
Oh, okay.
All right, can I have a motion to return to regular session at 7:42?
So moved.
Thank you, Melissa.
Second.
Craig, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed, any abstentions? Okay, let's go right into the superintendent's update.
Pat missed the who voted.
It was
And
Melissa
seconded.
and it was Greg.
and 7:42, I think, was the time we came back.
Thank you.
Okay, superintendent's update. The crowd has thinned. We did all the fun stuff, but we still have business to take care of. So under the superintendent's update, I have a few items for you guys. Just as a reminder, everyone here knows this, but maybe the public doesn't. But we do have a budget. On June 6th, the town council unanimously approved a town budget. Just so everyone has the numbers, 17-18 budget was $24,212,791. We did take $175,000 decrease going into 18-19, so we have a lesser amount. So it's $24,037,791 going into 2018-19. It's about a 0.722% decrease. So almost 0.75% decrease. I do want to make a point that we still believe, we hope that the change with the insurance will be able to cover the reduction of that $175,000. There's been a lot of work done. Linda May, Mr. Melnick has been working diligently with the state. We had open enrollment meetings, but paperwork is there's still a lot going on. We may not know deep until July or August in terms of where we're going to land. I'm really hoping that we'll be able to make up that 175. Otherwise, we'll go into the year with a soft freeze and potentially be reducing things. I'm hoping that's not going to be the case, but I just want to make sure that I let you know that that decrease doesn't just come like we can just take that decrease. The other thing I wanted to make sure I updated you on was the business manager. As you guys know, June 30th will be Mr. Melnick's last day here, as he's accepted a full-time job at another district. He's been working with Ed Advance. We've been working with Ed Advance on a contract with them to have Ron here. He's done fabulous work. It's been great getting to know him, and we still have him for another couple of weeks before he heads off. But in terms of our search for business managers, we do have an interview with another candidate that Ed Advance is bringing forward, because our contract with Ed Advance is through September 1st. So they have identified some individuals with significant experience as business managers. And so my team will be interviewing them to make sure they would be a good fit for our community. So we're going to be working on trying to make sure we're set there. I think it's also important to note, we've been talking a lot about shared business services or shared services. One very good example of shared services is our food service director, and she's still here. That has worked well because it can work. We've been looking closely at the Plainville and Canton model as it comes to a shared business manager perspective, and I shared some information with the board that I wanted to share publicly as well. But the reports from Plainville and Canton, when you read them, it's interesting because you think there's only one business manager. When you hear it publicly, when they talk about it, there's one business manager, but that's not true. They actually have one director for what they call like the financial program for the entire town and Board of Education. But in both Plainville and Canton, they also have an individual who has their 085 or is supposed to. The Canton paperwork says the person should have the 085. I'm not sure if that's true right now in Canton, but that's what their report says. In Plainville, it makes it clear that the person needs to have their 085. That person's responsible for doing things like budget, for doing all the work like facilities and transportation and all the things that our business manager does. So they, in fact, have, in both Plainville and Canton, two different people who are 085s running the overall finances, but there is a dedicated Board of Education person. And I found that surprising because when you hear about it being talked about, it sounds like there's just one person. Going a little bit deeper, you find that some of the money that's being saved in those districts, and Plainville's document talks about only saving about $16,000 a year. That's more from back office savings. The districts are able to do maybe a little bit more around payroll, reducing staff by having one person or 1.5 people doing payroll. They've done some work around human resources. They've been able to save some positions. interestingly enough, in this district, we don't have a human resources department. I am that human resources department with Linda May. So we wouldn't be saving anything on human resources because we currently don't pay for any additional staff to do human resources. And I understand the town has a one-day contracted services with an individual who does human resources. So we're not heavy on human resources in this district. So I thought that was really interesting because when we talk about it publicly, it sounds like there's only the one person. And my last statement about this at this point is the mayor has worked with Plainville to set up a meeting that Ms. Johnson and I are going to be attending with their superintendent and their, I think it's their town manager who is the person, that's his role. And we're going to talk more about this and ask some specific questions. So if anybody has any individual questions for me, you can send them to me and I'll make sure. But on June 18th, I believe it is, so on Monday, we'll be going out and having some further conversation. So just trying to make sure we know all the information about this before, you guys think about what you want to do moving forward. And I'll try to pull something together more formally, but I thought it was important to at least share that information with you. And if there were questions tonight, I'd be able to either try to collect those questions or at least try to answer some of them. I also want to kick it over to Ms. Parsons to talk about teacher evaluation and report cards.
Sure. I wanted to give everyone a heads up. You'll be hearing from me at least twice in August when we come back to the table. One of the things that we've been working on since March, and we have a rather extensive process, is updating our report card indicators. So we've been working really hard over the past few years to update our curriculum, and now it's time to bring our report card indicators up to speed with our curriculum. So we're working on what's called the standards-based report card because we have a standards-based curriculum. We're taking the standards and we're making sure that we have them in our report card. And they're not very different from the standards that we used to, the indicators that were on there before, but we're making sure there's alignment with them between what the standards are, what we're teaching, and what we're assessing. So those came out of teacher work groups. I'm now putting together all of the feedback. They will go back out to teacher work groups, a parent work group, and an administrator work group so that we will bring forward our proposed report cards for use in the fall, and I'll share a little bit more at the August meeting. The way we grade will not be dramatically different at all in terms of we talk about has the student met a standard, are they progressing towards, or are they not yet there? So you'll be hearing more about report cards. The other thing you'll be hearing more about is teacher evaluation. And I was finally able to get some clear responses from the state just the day after our Student Achievement Subcommittee meeting. So we have a an Educator Development Committee. It's a new title for this year. So off of our district data team, we broke a group and we have met quarterly. And it's an Educator Development Committee. We talk about TEAM, which is our new teacher induction program. We do the professional learning calendar, which I've shared with you. We talk about new teacher evaluation, teacher of the year, but we also talk about our teacher evaluation program or plan that we have in place. So based on what we've learned this year and feedback we've been getting, we're going to be submitting a revision to the state over the summer that will, our new teachers and teachers that are new to Plymouth, whether, say I taught 20 years in another district and I came to Plymouth, I'd still be considered a new teacher for the first 2 years at least. So any teacher in their first 2 years in Plymouth or before they've passed that TEAM, that new teacher induction, they have 3 formal evaluations every year. And that's a requirement by the state. We're doing the minimum that the state sort of requires for that. But once a teacher moves out of that cycle, they're moving into either 3 informals or 1 formal. So what we're proposing, and this is based on feedback from teachers and administrators and staff, and it's come through the committee, is that anybody after those first years goes into 1 formal per year. And that will allow us the same face-to-face time with teachers. We'll still have 3 meetings. So with the 3 informals, we would have seen them 3 times. With 1 formal, we still see them 3 times because we have a pre and a post. But what it allows is a deeper look into practice, because right now teachers select what they want us to look at when we go into their classes. And if we're just popping in for 15 minutes, sometimes it's really hard to get a good look at what they want us to see. So by moving to 1 formal evaluation per year, it'll allow us to really get into good conversation with teachers around how are you planning, how are you assessing, what's going on. And then there's a few wording changes here and there, just cleaning up the plan. But that's what we'll be submitting to the state, and we need their approval first, and then we can bring it to you in August.
Great. And then two quick updates. First, some parents have been calling about bus routes already for next year. And so Ms. Gudichauskas, who works with all the bus routes, just wanted me to make sure I let people know that it's usually mid-August that bus routes actually become publicized. So there's a lot of work over the summer from the bus company to ensure that all the routes are as efficiently done as possible. They try to find ways to reduce buses if possible, those different rides if possible. So that'll be coming out mid-August, and we always post on Facebook when they're on our website, so people often see it there. But just wanted to say that. And then just a reminder that Wednesday, June 20th is graduation, 7 o'clock at the high school. Hopefully everyone received an invitation. If you didn't, you're all invited. It's 7 o'clock here. And it's 10 a.m. at Eli Terry. They do a promotion kind of ceremony at Eli Terry, kind of a moving forward ceremony. And of course, we'll be saying goodbye to some of our, Mr. Hulls is not here. I think there's about 123 seniors that are graduating this year. So we'll be tearing up that night and saying goodbye to 123 fabulous young people. So again, that's 7 o'clock on the 20th and 10 a.m. at Eli Terry. So that's it for updates, and I wasn't sure if there was any questions?
Questions or comments or concerns?
I just have one. It's kind of interesting on how that business manager model that goes through both Plainville and Canton, but I would probably safe to assume that the way it's being presented is that, and it would behoove you, because now you have two sets of eyes looking at books that have an 085, and it sounds like payroll is going to be high, but looking at it, when you have two sets of eyes looking at it, sometimes each one gives different perspectives on a budget, and where they feel needs are and wants are, and what's most beneficial to the students in the school system. So I'm not saying that it might be right for this town, but it could be right if, let's say, for instance, we did shared services with another town and or regionalized, depending on how that model would look. And that's probably years down the road. So who knows? Maybe it'll work here, maybe it won't.
And more information to come. Yeah, and it is that the school-based business manager is the one that helps develop the school budget. The person overseeing the town has lots of other responsibilities that our very own Mr. Penn has been learning about over the last few months about what it takes to run the town side. So any other questions about my update or comments? Or
Okay, moving on. All right, I had a request. I'm going backwards today, so Miss Diana is going first.
Oh, okay.
I usually go the other way, but
Yep.
By their request. So mine's pretty short because, it's the end of the year, everything's kind of wrapping up. So I just want to say that final exams are starting tomorrow, starting with our A period exam. But we do still have a full day, and then we're going to have half days from Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday for the rest of the year. Sounds pretty cool, finally. And the Taylorville High School had their spring band and chorus concert in May, and they did a fantastic job showcasing what they're capable of and everything that they worked on throughout the whole year. And it was also a sad time because it was all of the seniors' last concert, and they had to say goodbye to them all. So it was bittersweet. And on June 7th, the Taylorville High School held their annual awards ceremony during the day, and a lot of outstanding kids were recognized all across departments. All the departments recognized kids, and then there were some outside recognitions, and it was just during the day, and parents came, and it was a really nice ceremony. So. That's all I got.
you ready, Bree?
Yeah. A recap on the spring sports is all our teams had a representation in states, which is amazing. And then on June 6th, we held our sports awards in the auditorium. This was a successful night as was the largest outcome in many years. And our sports awards, the coaches hand out awards such as MVP, Most Approved Sportsmanship and Coaches Award. And also those that are on varsity team get awarded their varsity letter and pin. And this is a great achievement as they get recognized for their hard work. And then on May 24th, our seniors had their scholarship night, in which $250,000 was given, and that was very amazing because I need that money for college. And I want to send a big thank you to all the businesses and organizations for donating that money, because that helps us in further our path and our future. And then to the Board of Ed, I want to thank you guys for all the gifts you gave us with the food and the cookies, and just spending a lot of hours in the school and just making it the best you can, because I know it's hard, but you're doing a very good job. So, good job.
The seniors had their prom on Saturday, May 19th, and although the weather was kind of sad, we all had a really great time, and I know I just completely forgot about the fact that it rained because it was just a lot of fun. On May 25th, the seniors also went to Holiday Hill, and for that we had perfect weather, and it was a really fun time. Everyone had a really great time. And the seniors will have their senior night on Monday, June 18th, and it's catered by Moe's. And the seniors we're going to watch our senior video, which was made by Jack Smith, Jacob Tellier, and Zach Hansey, and they've been working really, really hard on it. And I saw a little clip of it, and it looks awesome. The PTSA is still selling the grad signs for $20, and all the seniors are really excited for graduation. It's sad to go, but I know our entire grade is just going to do amazing in the real world. And we also want to thank the PTSA for all the hard work that they did to plan our aftergrad, and we're all really excited for our aftergrad. And I would also like to thank the board members for having me for 2 years and listening to me just go on and on about nonsense. And I really appreciate all the support that you guys give to our school system, and especially the three of us. So thank you.
Diana says thank you too. She's just not leaving.
Just remember, you have an extra job next year or something. Any comments or questions or anything for the girls?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Good luck.
I'm not gonna cry.
That's what you are.
Yeah, I already got the tissues for next Wednesday. So
Oh, God.
So we also are going to announce our representatives for next school year. So Diana will be our returning senior. And then we're going to have Devin Gertz. Is that how you pronounce it? Oh, I did it right. And then Taylor Greenwood. So those are the three that will be our representatives next year.
Yep.
So we'll move you.
Yeah, I get to go to the
Yeah.
big seat now.
So I'm going to open up to public comment. You have 3 minutes. Name, address. Is there a sheet up there?
Yes.
Yes.
Would you like a microphone? I can bring you one.
Actually, I never been told I need a microphone.
Just your name and address so we can put it in the record.
So my name is Jody D'Antonio. I live at 111 Seymour Road, right next to Lake Winfield. My husband Mark and I have lived here for approximately 28 to 30 years. We came here because I was pregnant with one child and I had a 3-year-old, and we were looking for a good school system. And we knew Larry and Mara personally, and we knew and we had heard from other people how great PCS was. Okay, we purchased our home on Seymour Road because it was part of PCS's district. That's how much we wanted PCS, okay? Our sons now are 20 and 23 years old. Our son Gabe is now in, I know I'm boasting, I can't help it, but believe me, it's because of PCS. He's now just finished his first year of law at Quinnipiac. What is it? Magnum cum laude. I'm so proud of him. My other son is at URI with Aronimos, doing journalism and film. And he is also right up there with the ranks. I can't remember what he got a great title. And I'm telling you all of this because I'm bringing it back to Plymouth Center School. They were phenomenal with our children. I can tell you Bonnie Scapitici, I can tell you Deb Grossoff, I can tell you Wayne Waldron. I can list their teachers. And I'll tell you, when I see them, I hug their teachers because they did such a phenomenal job. Example, Bonnie Scapitici needed Mark with computers. She called him up and said, listen, I got a problem. We were right there, okay? We wanted to support the teachers and the staff. That was our job as a parent, okay? That's how I grew up. Then we got Wayne Waldron, who would tell my son, Hunter, you can I've read through your stuff, go back, a better word. Describe it better. Show me some action. And he did. My son would be here tonight, but he couldn't. So he would he's always given Wayne Waldron particularly a pat on the back saying, if it weren't for Mr. Waldron, I wouldn't be doing journalism now at URI. Now as we speak, Hunter has got his internship at the Bristol Press, along with working at Lake Mountain. You can't be a Bristol person without working at Lake Mountain. He's now doing 60 hours a week, but the point is, they asked him, the Bristol Press asked him, to come and work with them over the summer. And I went, oh my God, that's wonderful. You got a great education. You and Gabe, I'm so stinking proud of you guys. You had great teachers. We supported you, punched you when you needed to. We sent you back to your teacher and said, face the facts when you had to. And it worked out. Having said all of this, I have heard, and please, Dr. Selma, tell me if I'm wrong. You want to, or maybe the board wants to, I don't know, wants to take away a teacher or two at Plymouth Center. First of all, is that true?
Yeah, that's all been done through the budget process this year.
Is it decided?
Yes, yeah.
Have you taken one or two teachers away?
2 were eliminated this year for enrollment reasons. Yeah, enrollment has dropped significantly at Plymouth Center School.
Okay. Enrollment has dropped, I totally agree with you. Not significantly, but when I turn around and I look at that, I look at how much is being pulled from our teachers. So, you know, they're going home exhausted because back when I was in grammar school, the teachers did arithmetic, reading. They went home and they got to spend time with their families. We all know these teachers today have to go home and do more work after they put dinner on the table. And I was going to ask you if you could possibly reconsider, because one of the reasons why we came here was because the teachers were so good. I would hate to see our teachers going home and being like wet dish rags. I'm so exhausted, I don't want to do anymore. I dealt with 24, 26 kids today, and I don't want to deal anymore. And I get that. The plus side to that is people like Mark and Jody, who chose Plymouth Center because they heard that the ratings were so good, the sizes of the classrooms were small. We wanted our kids to have that. In order for you, meaning you, to want quality people to move into this area, you have to back up your teachers and say, I know you're working hard. I don't want you to go home like a dish rag. We're not here to abuse you. You're helping us. Let's keep the ratios down, and so our teachers go home with a positive attitude instead of, oh God, I gotta go back again tomorrow and face all those kids, and then the parents, and then you have a troubled child that day, and by the end of the day, you're spent. My kids are a walking fact that Plymouth Center worked. You guys are a category 1. What you determine today determines what the kids are 15 years from now. And I would give anything to have both my boys standing here. I can't tell you the compliments I get on them. And I owe a lot of it to Plymouth Center. So please, don't take away from the kids in the long run. If you have that extra money, I beg you to put it back to the kids. Because in the long run, this decision that we're making now is going to go 15 years from now. That you're going to go, boy, we've got a problem material because these kids, I'm living proof, and that's why I'm here. I'm here for the kids. I'm here to back up the teachers so that they're not wet dish rags when they leave here. And I'm living proof. My kids are living proof. So,
If you don't mind, if I could quickly address.
Say that.
I would love to quickly address you. I'm a member of the Board of Education. As you know, I'm also an elementary school teacher in another district. The best thing that you can do, to be perfectly honest, is to become involved during the budget process and encourage other parents in town to become involved during the budget process. Because unfortunately, when we're given cuts to deal with, we have to make difficult decisions. So if you could become, help others become more aware as it's going along, and maybe have them go to town council meetings, Board of Finance meetings, that's where it all kind of comes down from, to be honest. By the time it gets to us, we have to make cuts. We really don't have a choice. So political activism is probably your best bet. This is, while I appreciate your sentiments, trust me, personally and firsthand, it's already been decided. This is something that really would have had to be brought up months ago for us to have made any kind of different decisions.
So since you've made this decision, the governor did give us.
But we are not getting that money. That
No,
money goes to the town. It does not go to the Board of Ed.
Okay.
So you can certainly, I would encourage you to go to a town council meeting and ask where that money is allocated.
But my understanding is, Dr. Summel, do you determine how many teachers you get to keep and move around? Because that's one of the things that I learned as a parent is consistency is key.
Right.
So if you could keep the teachers consistent, the Bonnie Scappa teaches at first grade, the Debbie Brossoffs because that's what they're good at. That's what they need. They need to stay consistent so they know what to do from year to year. If you start shuffling them around, first of all, that costs money. The poor teachers now have to learn a whole new curriculum. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do.
It's huge.
There's a lot of, I would just say there's a lot of factors that go, we start developing a budget in October, and it actually starts prior to that. And knowing what happened to the state this year for 17-18, we needed to come in with a pretty low budget. And actually, we came in with a $22,000 increase, and you would think that would pass. But in fact, we got a $175,000 cut this year. So we're not flush with money in any respect at this point. And when it comes to where the teachers teach, they're assigned by the building principals. And so when you have a reduction like this, you are going to have to make some changes in what people are teaching. Because when there might have been, three fourth grade classes this year, and there's only maybe 2 the next year, that other fourth grade teacher is going to have to get moved somewhere. So there's inevitable that there would be some shuffling around. I agree that as you get to really understand a particular grade, staying there for a decent amount of time makes sense. Sometimes teachers actually look to change grades after a number of years just to kind of keep things fresh. But that's all worked out through the building principals in many cases. So, but this was all an enrollment decision. When we looked, there's only 23 students in our grade 1 class. So we're not talking about, we have 2 small sections in grade 1 going down to 1 normal-sized grade 2. That's 23 is not unheard of in a grade 2 class. And that's what we needed to find things that made sense in our budget to be reduced. So I appreciate everything you say about teachers because they're our backbone. They're our bread and butter. They do all the heavy lifting. I give them all the credit. But we also, as a board, have to make good decisions around the financial aspect to make sure that we're not forced to make cuts late in the season.
So where are these 2 teachers going?
we've been working on that. There's been a lot of work around that, so there's been a lot of movement. So teachers from Plymouth Center ended up, one was able to stay there for different reasons. One teacher went to Fisher and one teacher went to Eli. So, but those are all decisions that have to get made, you know,
Okay.
through the work of the board and
So
through.
I'll say one more thing, and that is, in the future, we're a Category 1 school. If you keep taking away, you're gonna end up with nothing.
But keep in mind that we overlook 4 schools.
Yeah.
So
Right.
while you have vested interest in one,
Right.
we must look at the best interest of 4 schools.
Right.
Right.
But then why tamper with success? You
We
know,
want all of our
you've got-
schools to
Comes down to money.
You've got a mom saying,
Yeah.
20 and 23-year-old did great in this community. We want people to come into our community because they have small classes. But if we keep taking away from Plymouth Center, we end up with nothing. And then the classes start getting big again, and then we're like, we don't have it in the budget.
Right.
So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any more public comment? Going once, going twice, okay. Unfinished business, that will be Melissa.
Unfinished business is the policy. We have a second read on some policy. Do you want to take that? Do you want me to talk about it?
You can talk about it.
Okay.
Do you want me to just make the motion?
That's fine. Yep, people have had plenty of time to take a look at that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Okay, so we have a motion, or I'd like to make a motion to approve Policy Series 7000, Construction, and Regulation 4112.4, Proactive and Procedure.
Does not need a second, it's coming from committee. Any discussion? Any comments, questions? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Jerry's opposed. Any abstentions? Okay. Next motion, please. Or are you done?
No, there's just one motion.
Oh,
She
good.
did them together.
Oh, all right,
Yep.
we're good. All right, consent agenda. I would like a motion for the consent agenda, please.
Unfortunately, we can't because we didn't have a meeting. We went over, we skipped over
You're
that
right.
and went right to
So we
public
have to go
comment. So
through-
we have to go through
The
that
whole
as a
thing. You're
board.
right, thank you. You were absolutely correct. So, take that out, please.
I don't know that you actually need to. This is part of the Board of Education agenda. This was on your agenda. We can, if you would like to go through each piece, that's fine, but it's not a requirement from the personnel
Yeah, it doesn't
department.
have to come
move.
from-
It doesn't have to come from from the finance and operations to come to the full Board of Education, because this is, the consent agenda by definition is, you guys are all aware of this in advance of the meeting, and if you had questions, you would bring them forward.
So I guess I'll backtrack and say, do you have questions that you want to discuss within the consent agenda?
Me personally, no.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions about the consent agenda? And we can make a motion as a whole. Okay. So
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Jerry, any abstentions? Okay. New business. Is Holly going up there?
No.
Oh, okay. Is Margaret up there?
No, we're going to talk, this is coming out of committee, so we
Oh.
thought that maybe Ms. Colessa, as
Yes,
the chair of
sorry.
the Finance and Operations.
Coming out of committee, I would like to make a motion upon recommendation from the Finance Operations Subcommittee, which we did recommend, to bring before the full board to approve the additional funding from the U.S. Department of Agriculture's Community Eligibility Program to include the town of Plymouth's 2 elementary schools for the school year 2018-19 through 2021-22, provided current federal regulations for the CEP remain.
No second is needed. Any discussion?
Yes, could you please explain one more time
Yep,
what's going on?
yep. Ron, do you want to discuss, and Holly's stuck around too, just in case there was questions, because
Do you want to go up to the podium just in case? Absolutely. Thank you. Who wants to start, Ron or Holly?
Do you have a specific question, or you just want to get a general overview again?
General overview again.
Of CEP?
Yeah.
Okay, what that is we have 2 elementary schools that have qualified under the new regulations of direct certification students that we can enroll in CEP, which means that every child in the school will eat for free. We will get a full reimbursement from the state of Connecticut. We actually, at 66% of those students that eat, will be at the free rate, which is the highest rate paid. And then I believe it was 40%, I'm a cheat sheet. Yes, 41% will be at the reduced rate, and then 33% of it will be at the paid rate. So we would get those reimbursements for all the students. It is a good program for the elementary schools. It will help to get some more money in our accounts so that we can upgrade all of our kitchens and do things, because it will give us a definite positive balance.
I think one of the major pieces to just keep in mind is once you hit that 40% threshold, that's the threshold you have to get over to be able to offer this. So the 2 elementary schools, Plymouth Center and Fisher collectively, are now over that 40% threshold. So because of that, we can be a part of the CEP program.
So it's not like the state of Connecticut offered anything new, it's just we happen to qualify.
We happen to now qualify.
Right. With the new regulations, we had Medicaid, which gave us higher numbers of direct certified students. So we did qualify because of that.
Right. Yeah, there were some changes that they made about who would be certified as just directly certified as being eligible. Right. And they changed the rules around the Medicaid program.
Right.
And that's what bumped up not just our numbers,
Everything.
but numbers across the state of Connecticut. So we do believe there'll be plenty of other districts who will be having this very same conversation. I do know a town near us months ago actually talked about this and had more of their schools get involved. And it's only the 2 elementary schools now, but we could potentially see all 4 schools at some point if our numbers continue to increase.
Correct.
But right now, it's only the 2 elementary schools that we can offer it to.
So it's a cost for the state of Connecticut and a savings for us.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments, concerns? Okay, I'd like to call for roll. You said you want to roll call. Oh, yes. I'm going to do a roll call vote. So I will start with Greg,
Yes.
Jerry,
Yes.
Josiah,
Yes.
Melissa.
Yes.
Cindy, Michelle.
Yes.
Karen.
Yes.
Okay, the ayes have it.
Okay.
Thank you.
And I know that Holly will be working to start getting a communication together so what we can make sure, because it came up in subcommittee as well, making sure that parents who might actually have a child who's in the middle school or high school and in elementary school, to make sure they understand. So there'll be some communications going out to make sure people understand what's happening.
All right.
Thank you, Holly.
Thank you.
Okay, end of the year transfers. I need a motion.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the superintendent of schools to work with the interim business manager in order to make the necessary transfers and expenditures to close the books as of June 30th, 2018, and to expend funds for the fiscal year 2017, 2018.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Melissa, any discussions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any nays? Okay, cool. We're good. All right, we're moving on to committee reports. This is Karen.
Okay. The Finance Operations Subcommittee met prior to the board meeting and reviewed the accounts by facility report for the month of April, and that will be forwarded to the Town of Plymouth Board of Finance.
Can I just, as I'm hearing you say that, I think that should say May. The month of May.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
May-
we put that in there. wrong.
And I just read it. I should have been more
It's all right,
careful as
Karen,
well.
we already did April anyways, so we'll just do May too, so why not?
All right, do you want me to reread it? No? Okay.
Sorry, that was our fault. We apologize.
Right, and we are not going to take action on number 2, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so we're just going to skip that. Moving ahead to number 3, under the committee reports, I would like to make a motion to approve the taxable governmental obligation contract between the Town of Plymouth, Connecticut, Board of Education obligor, another time I've never heard that word, and the M-Core Credit Corporation obligee, dated as of August 15th, 2018, and attachments. Exhibit A, description of equipment. Exhibit B, payment schedule. Authorization for on-bill payment. Notice of assignment, acknowledgement of, and consent to assignment and insurance requirements as discussed at the Finance Operations Subcommittee meeting.
Okay, coming from committee does not need a second. Any discussion? Okay, I'm going to do a roll call vote. We will start with Josiah.
Aye.
Melissa?
Aye.
Cindy? Michelle? Karen?
Aye.
Craig?
Aye.
Jerry?
Yes.
Thank you. The ayes have it.
Okay, and number 4, this has to do with transfers. I'd like to make a motion to approve transfers totaling $20,500 as discussed in the Finance Operations Subcommittee meeting.
Does it need a second? Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions? Any nays? Okay, moving forward. All right, student achievement.
The Student Achievement Subcommittee met on June 7, 2018 at 6:30 in the conference room at Central Office and discussed the following items. Review of AP Government Textbook, Elementary Report Cards Update, Grading and Curriculum Update. I need a motion to move to the full board for approval the recommendation of the Student Achievement Subcommittee to purchase the AP Government Textbook, American Policy Today, AP 5th edition by Binko and Cannon. No second. Oh.
Right.
Yeah.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any no's? Any abstentions?
I'm sorry, just got reading.
Yeah, just do my job. It's okay.
And that's the book we'll be using for our new AP class, just so.
Really?
The new AP government class will be using that particular textbook.
It looks like a very good book, too.
Do you want to take it home?
Good, you
for
had a
summer?
chance to, yeah, you saw it in
Oh.
subcommittee, yeah, okay.
My hands are just too full.
Yeah, summer reading.
There's no report for policy, because we just worked on that. So negotiations?
The negotiation subcommittee met on Wednesday, May 30th. The subcommittee members moved to bring forward to the full board in executive session their recommendation regarding the extension of the contract for the superintendent of schools.
Any questions? All right, I'm going to just take a moment to let the girls go home. You guys have studying to do.
Do they? Do you have any studying to do?
I do have one of my last 2 exams.
Diana does.
We're done with
Yeah, you guys are done. That's the beauty of AP class.
You know you're welcome to
And
stay,
being a
but
senior.
you guys can leave if you want.
Try and push some last minute balloon sales too.
We will.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, the final public comment. Any public comment?
I don't believe we have it.
All right. Okay, board liaisons. Just before we start this, I just want to remind everybody that there is an updated list for board liaisons, so please take a look at that. If there's any questions, please ask me. So we will start out with Harry S. Fisher. Currently, that's Miss Melissa.
So we had some weather when they were supposed to meet last, and because of that weather, their meeting was canceled.
Oh, okay.
I have no report.
All right. Jerry, do you have anything from CABE?
Kind of yeah, kind of no.
Okay. Do you need a moment to think about it? Or?
No, not really. I have notes on the back, but I know that Michelle is part of the district coordinator. So I will kind of defer to her if she has any info from CABE, and if she doesn't, then I can give some info that I have.
I don't have any information.
Okay. All right. So, CABE decided for the 3rd year in a row not to increase dues to school systems that are involved in CAVE. So that's the third year in a row where they've held it, and they understand the financial aspect that's going on, with the state and the problems that our towns that are having, in dealing with that. So they decided to hold that down. Also, I did get some information from CAVE concerning what happened at the last tri-town meeting that we had with the Board of Finance and the Town Council and ourselves, and there was some misconception concerning a bill that had gotten passed through legislation, and Governor Malloy had vetoed it, and it has to do with the governor still has the option to cut municipal aid, not only through ECS grant, but through LOSIP and things like that. Some legislatures that I have spoken to have basically said that because he is a lame duck governor, and that he can technically cut at the midterm, which is technically January, he more than likely will not be here. So it probably would behoove him to take his swan song and go where he needs to go, and allow the new governor to decide what he will do. And we'll probably hear in the next month or two on those candidates that are running for governor where their positions is concerning municipal aid. So what's more to come? Read the newspaper and watch the news.
Right.
Any questions? Thank you. Because I know that's a big question that was out there. So.
Right. So it's still on the table, and I do believe, in speaking to a few individuals, I do believe it was capped at 3% of, I think, the state budget, and I do believe the number was somewhere in the vicinity of like $199 million that the governor could cut to municipalities. And in all honesty, when you look at it, it's a minuscule amount of money that they actually allowed him to cut. When you're looking at 169 towns, and I do believe there's 199 school districts that could be affected. So.
Thank you. Plymouth Center, Michelle?
I was unable to attend.
Do you have anything?
They canceled their PTO meeting for yesterday, but they are having a Texas Roadhouse fundraiser on the 19th. They're going to have raffle prizes there, and it's the day before the last day of school, so if anyone wants to get pre-celebrations in, 10% goes back to Plymouth Center. So they're going to have a nice event there with raffle prizes, and I believe kids are also a discounted rate on that day, and you're able to take advantage of the discounted rate for the kids' meals, as well as them still giving us money for the fundraiser. So it should be a fun family night out if anyone wants to go.
I assume that's Waterbury, the Waterbury?
Yeah, the Waterbury, Texas Roadhouse. Yeah, and then besides that, they have, just like everyone else, their awards going on, their Kid Rock concert, last day of school. So they're just busy getting ready to end the school year.
So who's going to do Eli for this month?
So I can do Eli again. The balloon fundraiser, it's our first time doing it. I just checked this morning. We have 96 sold balloons. So we will love to see a little bit more participation because it's 96 balloons, but I believe it's like 60 children. So if we can get another 40 kids to get one balloon, everyone will have a balloon. And the high school, class of 2021, took it on as their fundraiser as well. And I can see that my daughter's table set up over there. But they've done a really good job. Chris Perkins has stayed with them. And we should have the total counts by Friday and delivering on Tuesday night. So if you guys have pictures of, driving by mailboxes, take pictures and send them out. And I'll be taking lots of pictures. But it's going to be a really, really fun couple weeks at the end of the school. And the yard signs and the balloons and everything going on. It's a lot of fun. And we are working on a mascot. We'll have one over the summertime. So next year for the middle school, we'll have a new mascot.
Oh, nice.
Yep.
Very good. All right, any questions? Okay, there you go.
Yeah, Terryville High School PTSA had their meeting at 6:30 tonight. So I obviously could not make that. I try to sometimes go between the first meeting and the second meeting, but our first meeting ran late, so I was not able to attend. But I would like to publicly thank the PTSA for all their hard work, and I look forward to working with them again next year.
Thank you. Dick isn't here, but do you want to do SEPTA for us?
SEPTA has one last presentation of the school year. It will be at 7 p.m. at Town Hall in the Assembly Room. It's a presentation on human trafficking.
And it's free.
It's free.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for anybody? All right, moving on.
Monday.
7 p.m.
Monday the
Town
18th.
Hall.
Thank you.
The 18th.
Yes.
The 18th. All right, final board comments. Does anybody have any? Jerry?
I just wanted to clarify with, I do believe the legislature is going to be called in back into session to go over the vetoes that the governor did vote on, and they will be going through the vetoes to override them. And I do believe they're going to come in session prior to the end of this fiscal year. So there is a possibility that whatever he vetoed, those would be overridden anyway. So there's still a,
Still in there.
there's still some picture to look at.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
And just to piggyback on that, I believe when they voted on the overall budget, the numbers were significantly high. So I do believe if those numbers were staying, they would be able to override the veto. But that's just from one article that I read.
Yes, right.
So.
There was when they voted on the ECS. Well, actually, it was Town 8. It was all of it. That
Right.
there were hardly any dissenters.
Exactly.
It was.
So.
I would probably say you're looking at maybe less than 5% that actually dissented on those bills. So.
Don't forget, it's an election year.
Yeah. So.
Any other last board comments before I do mine? No, it's the last one until August. All right. So I just want to do a few final ones. Before I do that, though, I'm going to announce that we're going to go into executive session very soon, but we are not coming back live. And what we will do is whatever comes out of executive session will be in our minutes. But we're going to have a disclaimer, so thank you to the tech staff for doing that for me. I appreciate that. So they can all go home, but it will just come back, and we'll have a recorder for the final outcomes, okay? So I would like to thank Ron. Thank you for coming in and working with us, and I'm sorry that you're leaving.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Tech staff, thank you for all your time all year. I appreciate it. And all the students who worked with us, thank you so much. Again, congratulations to Kevin. I'm going to miss the girls. And I just want to thank the public, because that was very nice of her, that mom, to come out and talk to us. And we gave her a little bit more time, but I thought it was okay because it was a nice discussion. And so I want to thank her for coming out and actually speaking up. A lot of people don't do that, so it's appreciated. And thank all of you. I know it's been a crazy year for us because we didn't have everybody here, but I appreciate all your hard work. And that's it. Thank you. Oh, Chris, you just scared me. Okay, the next meeting will not be in July. It'll be here in August, August 15th, the third Wednesday of the month, 7 o'clock at the cafeteria. So we're going to go into executive session to discuss a personnel matter, an extension of a contract for the superintendent of schools. So I'm going to want to make the motion.
I'd like to make a motion to move into executive session at 8:36 p.m. to discuss a personnel matter, the extension of a contract for the superintendent of schools. Dr. Semmel will be invited into executive session.
Second.
Melissa, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, we are going into executive session.
Did we leave our